Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Lipgloss and Aftershave Virtual Skincare Festival. It's Monday. No, it's Sunday. It's still Sunday.
Oh, it's Monday. I'm done.
It's March 29th. It's 2 p.m. and we have an extra special guest today. Barry, introduce our next guest.
Hey, everyone. Coming to you from Philadelphia, Margate, and Phoenix, Arizona. We're here with our 2 o'clock session with the one and only Chris Campbell, CEO and founder of Hale Hush. And for those of you who don't know, Chris Campbell is a ingredient genius. She has the knowledge that will just blow you away. She has worked in ingredient formulation most of her career. She's a licensed esthetician, although she'll brag about the fact that she's never done a facial. I think that's my favorite thing in the entire world. But she knows skin and she knows how to deal with compromised skin. So that's what Hale Hush has been known for. But one of the things that I think is amazing about Hale Hush is it's a line for everyone. It's a line for
everybody
aging.
can
It's
use
a line
it.
for acne. It's everything. So for the next hour, you've got Chris. We're gonna do, if you have questions throughout the next hour, just chime in on the Q&A. Jenny's gonna moderate the questions. Chris is gonna start off with her contact information so you can get directly to her. Chris is giving us an entire line of Hale Hush that she's going to raffle off. We'll raffle off anybody who's in the room today. You're eligible for the raffle, so we'll get you that next week. She's also going to have a special offer, so she can talk about that if she wants, or we'll email you that next week. What else? Oh, if you want to screenshot what you're doing is take a picture of Chris, share it. It's Hale Hush is their Instagram, our Instagram, lipgloss_aftershave, and then use the hashtag LAFest, LAFEST, so we can all connect and share each other's stories and let everybody know what's happening. But I'm going to give you over to Chris Campbell from Hale Hush.
Hello, everybody. I'm going to share my screen here in just a second. We are doing the offer with Barry and Jenny for the giveaway. And then we will be doing a special, which I'll announce when we do some more Q&A at the end of the conversation today. I'm gonna give you my contact information right up front. So if you'd like to get the PowerPoint, I'm happy to email that to you if you email me. Let's see, from the beginning. Everybody can see that there. You can write that down. You can email me, you can call me. Definitely check out the website. If you have not gotten any of our samples or information, please register on our website for an account, and we're happy to send a free set of samples and all our data sheets and basic protocols out to you as well. So kind of what we're going to talk about today is sensitive and health challenge skin. So we're not going to really go into each particular product that we carry in the line, but it'll kind of give you a little bit better overview of everything that's going on. Is that showing up okay, Jenny?
Yep, looks good.
So as an esthetician, we have an expanding role. Even though I don't practice, that Barry kind of joked about. I took my license to get my license because I was working for an FDA lab and things like that with sales and manufacturing. So I kind of wanted to learn a lot more about the skin. But you're a care provider. I mean, especially now what's going on with the virus and everything. I'm kind of a wellness coach. We're having to look at all the things that people are doing with their whole lifestyle, with their eating, with taking care of everything. So you're kind of looking at all of those things. We're seeing a lot more wellness around the skin. Being well-rounded in the current health issues. If you're interested, the Aesthetics Council, which I'm a board member of, we actually are put out a form. I think Barry and Jenny shared it also, of all the cleaning procedures and really being up to date with everything that's going on with COVID-19 at this point. And you really have to be careful. In fact, one of my clients actually, I found out yesterday, she worked on somebody before they were actually closed. They had to close down, and she ended up contacting the virus because the person that she worked on did not tell her that she is waiting for her test to get back. So, I mean, we have to be very wary that, people, every time they come in, even if they filled out a, contact form before intake form, that we are actually asking them what's been going on, recently, because it's kind of concerning. And we're also a support partner to the medical practitioners out there because we're trying to help if they say have cancer or diabetes. We want to work alongside those, even the dermatologists, so that we don't do any harm to the skin, and we're working all together. So sensitive skin, it can be short term. So somebody's maybe during their pregnancy or something, they're actually having sensitive skin, or they're on a different type of medication or something. But what if it's long term? What if it's diabetes? What if it's cancer they've gone through? A lot of times sensitive skin can be long term. So really determining with a really great intake form, you can always email me for the one that we have. Happy to send that out. I'm just asking a lot of questions of trying to really determine why they're sensitive, and that's what we're going to talk about today, is different challenges that actually everybody could have all these challenges at once or just a few of them, and really determining sensitive reactive skin or reactive skin. So different things that affect the skin, and we'll go into each one of these separately. Diet, hormones, stress, aging is a challenge. Cosmetic intolerance syndrome, which is overuse of products and ingredients, the environment, sleep issues, health challenges. We'll go into each one of these separately. So, and then also, what is sensitive skin? Which most of us as skincare professionals, we know what that is. I mean, we see these symptoms and things: reactive to touch, papules or pustules, acne-like conditions, rosacea conditions. Some people have irritation and burning, chapped and dry, thickening of skin and scaling. Some of that type of things happen with different types of sensitive skin. So we'll talk about diet selection first. What we put in our body sometimes can cause direct reactions on the skin. Stimulating foods, caffeine, spicy foods. I have a friend that goes out for happy hour, and what she does, has a margarita and her face is, all blown up and red. So food allergens. A lot of us have clients that are gluten allergies, issues with soy in their diet, dairy in their diet, knowing that those things could be what's causing their irritation in the skin. So really asking them if they have any type of food allergies, because if we're putting stuff topically, if it's already irritating if they're eating it, sometimes topically is also going to irritate it at different levels. A lot of people with the highly processed food we have these days, you're seeing more sensitive skin issues with that. And another question I actually ask in our intake form is internals. Are they on supplements? Are they on all these different herbal things that they can buy online to get healthy with, and even workout supplements? Some of those can actually cause different types of contraindications. So really taking into consideration all of those different things that they have in their diet that could be affecting that. Hormones, that's another challenge that we could have. I mean, we're all on a different, as I said, hormonal roller coaster throughout life. The thing is teens and 20s, we're seeing teenagers or even preteens have like menstrual cycles earlier, even at like 10, 11, 12 years old, starting on birth control, that we're having to deal with that. And their skin is totally different acne-wise than a teenager of 17 or 18. That's almost like baby skin. We're seeing it more into our 20s, 30s and 40s. I'm 53, and I can remember when my mom was this age, I don't remember her having acne and irritations and things, but you're seeing more acne hormonally. A lot of that has to do with different dietary issues too, and how we've changed over the years in our 30s and 40s. And treating that type of acne is different than treating a teenager. And then into our 50s and beyond, we're actually, a lot more people are going into menopausal states even earlier. And so then their loss of hormones, and they're having to deal with that for a longer period of time because we're living longer as a human race, and then you're having to deal without those hormones. Another thing to consider on your intake form is asking them if they're doing any of the hormones that are the bioidentical hormones, stuff that they make up that they're applying. Some of that could be causing contraindications as well. You're seeing a lot more people with infertility issues. If they're doing any type of treatments for that, it's good to know that they're, besides going to a regular doctor, they're going to an OB or some type of fertility doctor, and maybe on some type of things that way as well. A lot more PCOS out there that causing issues as well. Skin allergies in general is another challenge that you may have. A lot of cosmetic and personal care ingredients, either natural or artificial in origin, can cause irritation. We're kind of coming into using a lot more natural preservatives as manufacturers. But now we're finding out as we're using some of these natural preservatives, people can have allergies because they've never been exposed to them before. Medications, while a dermatologist or a doctor may prescribe some type of medication that's topical, sometimes that is what's causing the reaction on the skin. A lot of times with steroids and things, there's actually side effects with being on the steroids, and other parts of the skin on the body. Animals is a skin allergy. You'll see that pop up a lot. Dogs, cats, different things like that. The environment, you'll see a lot of people that are in areas that are very dust, a lot of greenery, or I live in Arizona. There's a lot of, I've never had allergies and stuff to a lot of plants, but now I'm exposed to things I wasn't exposed to in the Midwest. So just out in the environment doing typical gardening and things that I'm just realizing that I have skin allergies to. And while we talked about foods as a dietary issue, there's actually foods that people can topically have issues with. So while somebody may not be able to take different types of lactose tolerance, is that sometimes they can actually touching dairy. So if there's lactose type things in the food, that can actually cause an issue as well. And mold is another big one in different parts of the country that actually is in a lot of different things in just the dust and stuff in our environment. Stress skin, I know we're seeing a lot of this these days. I'm going to pull up this other slide first before I go back to the conditions that can happen with that. I mean, we're working a lot more longer hours. I mean, teens are affected these days. Think about the teens and college kids that have been sent home, everybody that's having to work from their houses, do their schoolwork now from home, locked in their houses. The stress levels are going up. So we're seeing getting a lot of calls for people that are drop shipping to their clients that, you know, what do? They're having eczema flare-ups, they're having psoriasis flare-ups. All these types of things are really, especially with the COVID and everybody being trapped in their homes, is causing a lot of issues. So stress does have a key contributor to causing other health diseases as well. You'll see stress is a key factor for heart disease, cancer, things like this. So the stress that we're under, when we look at different issues that can come up, common issues we can see are acne during stress times, rashes, rosacea. I think we're all seeing a lot more rosacea clients, you know, in this time that we're going through. Premature aging. Stress is actually when you're frowning, when you're stressed, all these different things can actually show premature aging. These are all common factors. But what we're seeing even more of is shingles. I don't remember when I was growing up that people, you know, my age had shingles. I'm seeing people in their 50s, you know, have shingles that early. Eczema flare-ups, herpes, psoriasis. These are all the next factors along with rosacea that we're seeing more that stress can trigger. And it's really great for your clients to know, are there eczema flare-ups, rosacea, those type of things triggered because of the stress that they're under, or it could be triggered by diet or both. And if understanding what's triggering that, you can help them work on some type of system to help keep that under control down the road, so they can get it back to calming. Because we can't cure those type of things, true rosacea, eczema, psoriasis, but we can try to keep them calm, and we can try to have products and items that will work, that will help calm it when there is that flare up and get it back to a more normalized state for them. Go back here. Cosmetic Intolerance Syndrome, or CIS. Sometimes this picture of this woman is somebody who's been overprocessed by glycolics. She just kept using glycolics. I can remember 20 years ago, everybody used glycolic. And glycolic is a great AHA to have out there, but when people overprocess their skin with things, sometimes that sensitivity comes up. It can be too strong of ingredients they're using for their skin type or their skin condition. Too frequent washings. Look at the people that overprocess with scrubs, too much exfoliation. People have ended up having reactions now to, what do they call it? The different apricot scrubs and things like that because they've overprocessed. At this time, Hale and Hush, we don't have a scrub in our arsenal I'm looking into doing something in the future, but the problem is that I'm afraid that somebody with rosacea, oily rosacea, acne rosacea is going to go home and just, when you tell them to use this polish once a week, they're going to use it every day because they think that's going to get rid of it, and they're going to process. So until I find ingredients that I can really have that break down for these type of clients, then we'll end up bringing in a scrub it at that time. If you end up having, some people can have, besides having issues with certain ingredients, now it's all skincare products. Their skin has become so sensitized. So a lot of times what you have to do for these clients is really stop everything for a while and then start introducing one thing back in at a time to get to a new baseline. It's kind of like when somebody's gone through cancer, and what we kind of, the new normal is kind of our saying is, maybe they used to be able to do TCAs and things prior to their cancer treatments and things, and now they can't, they can barely get to an enzyme. So you kind of have to work one piece at a time to get them back to a new baseline, especially with somebody with cosmetic intolerance syndrome. And we see people, when they see the newest ingredient out there, they think a little bit is great, but if I use it more, it's going to cure everything. And that doesn't necessarily happen. We end up developing sensitivities to different things. Let's see here. So aging, this is another different type of challenge that we can have. And obviously this is one challenge that we all have. Dryness, fragility, vascular issues. We tend to see a lot more bruising as we get older, varicose veins, discolorations. Understanding as we get older that those discolorations just aren't hyperpigmentation, they're age spots. A lot more poor, slow healing, wrinkles. So aging can be definitely a challenge that we all have, that we need to take into consideration the person's age when looking at the different types of where they are and why they're sensitive. And what happens too is you have a more mature age group out there. I live in Arizona, and we have a lot of aging communities, senior citizen communities, those type of things, retirement communities. And they all want to still use ingredients, all the buzzwords, the vitamin C, the vitamin A, all these different types of things, and it's still too aggressive for them. So that's what's really nice about Hale Hush, as Barry mentioned, a lot of people can use our products because we still have all the buzzwords. We have vitamin C, we have retinaldehyde, which is great for sensitive skin. We try to come up with things that are ingredients that are still going to give them the anti-aging they want, along with the things that are going to work on their barrier function and hydration and reducing redness for your sensitive skin clients. Sleep is another issue that we can have as a challenge. Most people, minimum needed 7 to 8 hours per night for good health and skin benefits. But a great one, I put a note on here talking about circadian rhythm. I recommend to anybody to go take one of Circadia Skincare. Michael is one of my people that I really look up to, and they have some great classes and information on circadian rhythm, where you're trying to rebuild the skin's barrier function, things, and if that's offset, how it really affects the skin. It can also lead to, if your barrier function is off, dryness, irritation, different sensitivities, and really your epidermis is less able to protect itself if that barrier function is compromised. And I think what, especially now, we've got people working odd hours, having to work from home. Everybody's with the stress, and sleep is going to be another one that you're going to see a lot of your more sensitive clients having more issues because their sleep is kind of off with the odd schedule of everybody having to be at home right now. Did you have a question, Jenny?
Yeah, Chris, one quick question. Someone chimed in and said, back to status cosmetic. That applies especially with the hypoallergenic products?
Let me go back here. As far as what, I guess I'm trying to see as far as hypoallergenic. There really is no hypoallergenic anymore. If you notice, most places don't even list that. We actually, like with Hale and Hush, we derm test our products. Everything except our Bedazzle, because it's mandelic and lactic, we've done derm testing, but a lot of times hypoallergenic, you don't see that term quite as much. Do you see it out there, Jenny, much?
That's so interesting that you said that, Chris, and until you just said that, I don't. it's
I
not
think
a
it's
common
hard
term
for people
anymore.
to say that this isn't going to be effective on anybody. Most professional skincare lines, they don't really do derm testing because they're trying to get aggressive turnover. They're trying to get these results quickly. But with the Hale and Hush, we did the derm testing just because we're trying to do anything we can to avoid hopefully having a reaction. But I remember when I was a teenager, everything was hypoallergenic. Your earrings were hypoallergenic, all those type of things. But you just see people, you know, when Retin-A came out and they were doing, say, Obagi, all these different things that would add that in, people just started getting it on their own and they're over-processing and over-processing. And sometimes they just start making themselves sensitive because they've over-processed and tried to use all these different things at too great of strength for their skin type.
One more. It says, when we have to stop all products and reintroduce one by one, the first question client is going to ask, well, what do I use then? I don't know how to answer that.
I would say probably start with your cleanser. Obviously, cleansing is going to be your key thing. I mean, the wash that we have is just a purifying wash. It's not anything with acids or enzymes. It's just cleaning the skin. What we feel is really important with Hale and Hush, if you buy a product, we always match samples. We're very big on sampling. So I think that's really key, especially with any type of skin sensitivity, is getting that person to try, you know, one thing at a time anyway, to kind of get them going to understand that they don't have any reactions. Especially a lot of people have bought lines and they spent hundreds, thousands of dollars out there and stuff that doesn't work for them. So trying one thing at a time usually helps get that going. But I think I would start probably first with the cleanser.
And Chris, how many days do you recommend before you think someone, if they were going to have a reaction, is it going to be instantaneously? Are they going to wake up the next morning with it? But do you say X amount of days?
I mean, most people that are truly sensitive or sensitive reactive are going to notice something within, you know, instantly, or maybe if they put like a moisturizer on at night or something and notice something by the morning.
Okay.
I don't think it takes like days and days and days
For your
to
skin
see a
to
reaction. That's why we just do little samples. They have like 1 or 2 uses. You're going to know if you're sensitive to something in there. It doesn't make sense. People always ask me why our samples aren't like 1 ounce or something. That doesn't make sense. As if you're just going to throw it away if they are reactive. But people usually know within 1 or 2 uses out of something.
And she's actually, the same woman is elaborating on that question. She says, I meant, what do they use while the skin is returning to baseline to be able to reintroduce?
Some people will suggest using just, you know, water to be splashing. You know, you might pick in one product, maybe something that's a barrier function, either moisturizer or a serum, to try to build up that, but they need to get rid of most of what's going on.
Okay.
And they should actually, if they're that sensitive and that sensitive reactive, I recommend them going to a derm and talking to the derm too, because they've really torn down their barrier at that point and it needs to be rebuilt up. And that's why it really needs to be like one point at it, you know, one product at a time, I guess.
Right. Okay. Yep. All right. You can move forward.
Okay. No problem. The next page I have here is environmental aging. There's a lot of harmful effects out there, outdoor and indoor, air pollution, UVA, UVB, chemicals that are in certain areas and work environments. So a lot of these can cause a lot of skin conditions. This actually is a picture of somebody who works in the environment of their work environment. They work somewhere where they're over a hot stove and that heat is going up across that area at all the time and the discoloration is there. So great questions to ask think about where your clients live. Think about what hobbies they do. Are they an avid skier? Do they go out in the sun a lot, like golfing and things like that, to determine what kind of treatments and products you're going to use for them. Also, you know, what do they do for a living? That could also affect if they're always in an environment where they're either not getting, you know, they're in heat or they're in cold. That's going to affect some of the things that they have with sensitivities. And I'll talk about a few other things with environment. A lot of times with extreme temperatures, or if there's change of temperature quickly. Like when I'm out here in Arizona, it's 120 degrees outside and you walk in somewhere where it's 70 degrees. Some people can have a sensitivity right away between the temperature, you know, walking in and out, or walking in a warm area out to a cold area. You know, a lot of people walk from their heat of their house into the 20-degree weather in Chicago. You know, it's instant. You'll see redness on their skin. So you'll see different things have an impact. Also cold Cold can cause problems a lot of times with the sebaceous glands. What else do we have here? Hot, humid conditions. I mean, if they're living in areas where they're producing more sweat. I mean, you notice some products work better for certain clients in certain areas too. That's why it's always best to test, especially some of the bases can be different in different environments. I always suggest clients too is changing their serums and their moisturizers when the temperature changes. I mean, you may need more of something in the wintertime and less, less in the summertime as far as hydration. So we always find that in our hair too. Our hair changes and sometimes you need to change it up a little bit and change those things. Low humidity. If you're on airplanes a lot, think of the people that fly all the time for their jobs. Their skin is a lot drier and they have a lot of dehydration. Adding mist to them, adding more water, more hydration to their system is going to be a lot better. Skin conditions from rosacea can be triggered by hot temperatures or cold temperatures. So one reason that we suggest, and I have another slide later on about, hot, cold, or steam, is we don't recommend really using cold water or cold towels or super hot towels or steam with somebody who has rosacea or sensitive skin. You want to use something that's kind of warm to lukewarm or cool, because that'll leave the redness in their skin if you use one of the hot, extreme hot or extreme cold.
Chris, will you be addressing blue light as it affects skin? Do you have a slide for that?
The blue light as far as like what, UV, like from LED?
Sarah, if you want to clarify with another question, if you have a specific, the question was, how does blue light affect the skin? So I know personally, I've seen multiple articles about being in front of a computer all day and staring at these screens all day. So maybe we can speak to that.
Yeah, there's the other light that affects on there, can cause that. And that's why we tell people I usually tell people to step away every so often. I mean, and even people that are in front of a computer, maybe they're not in sunlight all day, is that will affect some of the skin types. So it's good to know. That's why I said, like, knowing what your client does for a living, if they're sitting in that type of environment. They do still need to worry about their barrier function and things like that. And I know I need to do some more research on that as well, because there is a lot more information, like you said, coming out with the blue light.
Great.
It's kind of like we're learning more about green for LED and how that can help with sensitive skin. So that's green, red, and blue have been around for a while, but the green light for LED is getting a lot more play out there right now.
Right.
Sunlight, they always tell us to go out in the sun because we're going to get more vitamin D activity in our skin, but then also that can be a problem for sun damage. When we talk about, a lot of times people, they get hyperpigmentation being out in the sun, changes the texture of their skin. But one reason when you're asking somebody how much they're getting when they have hyperpigmentation, you can't treat every hyperpigmentation person the same way. You can have somebody who's an avid golfer, like lives out here in Arizona, and their skin looks like leather and they're pigmented and they've been out there all day. I have hyperpigmentation myself from endometriosis, so that's a hormonal pigmentation. And then you could have somebody else who's gone through cancer treatments is pigmented. Finding out where their pigmentation came from is going to help you pick the right products and the right treatments in the treatment room to help them, because you can't treat them all the same. Some are going to be able to tolerate different things differently. Somewhat wrong way here. Are you talking more? Was she talking more about like the HEV, which is like the light that goes? Is that more what she's talking about with the blue light?
She came in and clarified that it was iPhones and computer screens.
Okay, iPhones and computer screens. Yeah, there's also, there's general light out there besides the UVA and the UVB now. The HEV light can. So that can also cause some of the conditions. I think that would probably kind of fall under the blue light, because that's more of something that goes on all the time. Now, a lot of people have sun allergies. When you ask people why they think they're sensitive, or they're saying, well, I'm outside, some people are actually allergic to being out in the sun. They triggers reactions immediately. So as always, we need to be wearing our sunscreen. Fragrance issues. I don't know if anybody has this, but there are a lot more people with fragrance allergies. It is a key sense of our, one of our main senses, but sometimes that besides being allergic to a fragrance, you can actually be turned off because of the aroma. I mean, I personally don't like coffee, oddly enough, like everybody else does. The smell of that just makes my stomach want to churn. And, Jenny, you could give me a facial that My skin looked beautiful after a coffee facial or something, but it ruined the whole experience. So I suggest people when they're doing, somebody comes in the first time, do they have an allergy to an ingredient or a fragrance, or do they not like a particular fragrance? Because that's going to make how the whole experience comes off.
Hands out.
Just,
Chris, will you actually back up, I think 2 slides now. So the one right before the fragrance slide, what India was saying, is this the good slide that you wanted to maybe screenshot, India? Hopefully we'll get an answer there. And while we're paused on this, Chris, someone had asked if a client uses pore strips at home, can this increase their skin sensitivity to products, especially on the nose?
that's funny you should ask that, because somebody just emailed me that the other day, like 2 days ago.
Do the Biore, right? Do those still exist?
Yeah, but oh yeah, they do. They have different ones. The thing is when you're doing that, you're still kind of doing an exfoliation, right? And people still keep doing it even if they don't really have any blackheads or anything showing. So if you keep doing something over and over, and then you're putting some type of AHA or retinoid on that area, that could make that area more sensitive. It's the same thing with, knowing if your clients have done any type of hair removal. What are those base shavers they have now that you can buy? They see them on Facebook. It pops up all the time.
That it's basically like dermaplaning at home.
But they're doing their own little thing at home. Well, what if your client doesn't tell you they just did that yesterday? And then you're going in to do an enzyme or something and you're wondering why they're reacting in those areas. It's always good to know, asking questions like that. Have they done any type of exfoliation? I mean, it's scary what they can buy on the internet these days.
Oh,
but yeah, they still have Biore strips, and there's some other different ones out there. It's, if it's not that one, they have some other off-brand ones at some of the grocery stores and things like that.
2 more questions that have come in. One is going to back up a little, and if this is off the beaten path here, but which products help with PCOS? I don't know if you want to get into specifics quite yet, or if that's for the end.
I mean, a lot of our products, it's the sensitivity. What happens, PCOS, a lot of times what happens is the polycystic ovarian syndrome is that they get a lot more hair. They have more vellus hair on their skin. They also have a lot more oil producing. So using some of the products, our cleanser, we only have one cleanser at this time. It works for both oily and dry skin because it's just purifying the skin. There's no acids, there's no enzyme, it's just cleaning the skin. And then I would probably recommend our Clear Future Toner. That would be a great product. It's a little less than a 2% salicylic. It also has a neuropeptide in there to reduce inflammation. And there is mallow extract, there is probiotics in there. And then our Rare C serum would be great. While it's a vitamin C, it's made for sensitive skin. It's called 3-O-L-L-ascorbic. And you don't get the irritation and citrus bite that you do with some other vitamin C's. But there's a really cool ingredient called lysophosphatidic acid. And what that does is it reduces the appearance of pore size, which you can't reduce pore size, but it reduces the appearance because it reduces the inflammation. And then also for your PCOS client, I would recommend our Hush Hydrate Gel, which is our lightest weight moisturizer, but then it's also our main calming mask. So it's a dual purpose product mixed with some of our bio powder, which is one of our great rescue products. That would help reduce the inflammation on that skin as well. And maybe just start with a couple of the key products. And I would sample them and see how they're doing because they may be on some internal medications from their doctor to make sure they didn't have any other contraindications.
Perfect. I think well, if you're at a good point, any suggestions for polymorphous light eruption and other photodermatosis?
They're really going to need to work on it, and barrier function is going to be a key thing. I mean, it's depending whether they're, oily or dry. Most of our products actually have a lot of barrier function ingredients, and keeping it calm. We only have 15 SKUs. That's where we're really complementary to the other lines. And mostly we're focusing on hydration, reducing inflammation, and then barrier function. So those are things that are just really key out there to work on. And I'd be happy to set up a training call with somebody if they wanted to do a one-on-one call with myself or my director of sales, Kay Deibler, and we could talk about their client in particular if they like. I do give out my personal cell when we send out samples, and I have people call me all the time and send in pictures and things like that. So we can really look at your client's skin. I think I'd have to know a little bit more about that particular client, I think, with that.
Okay. Oh, now the questions are really going to start coming in.
And that's fine. So if we don't hit everything today, you guys can email for this PowerPoint. So I know I just stated I did one the other day and we couldn't really answer. All the questions were at the end, and then we were just repeating
Right,
a
what you
lot
had
of
just
different
gone over.
things.
Why don't you
asking
say
what
your
happened.
email address one more time, since it looks like we do have some people that joined midway through.
Okay.
Repeat that for me.
Okay. My email address is Chris, K-R-I-S, at haleandhush.com, HALEANDHUSH.com.
Perfect.
I'm happy to send the PowerPoint out to anybody. And as I said earlier, for the ones that just jumped on, if you have not received samples and information from us, we do send you out a full set of samples, data sheets, and protocols if you register on our website.
Perfect. Getting some specifics here. Suffering from vascular melasma, want to stay away from hydroquinone. What do you recommend other than your non-acidic vitamin C?
We have retinaldehyde, which is great. If you think about Retin-A, which is your prescription form, the opposite side, so Retin-A is here, retinol is here, which is more of your over-the-counter form. Retinaldehyde sits in the middle. It's a much more stable form of vitamin A. It also does not cause the irritation and downtime that you typically get with different forms of vitamin A. Ours is a 0.10 retinaldehyde, for those that are familiar with retinaldehyde. It also has several anti-glycation ingredients. We have in our enzyme, which are incredible enzymes, we have daisy extract in there. Daisy is a great natural brightener as well, so I recommend maybe doing the enzyme treatments. The enzyme treatment is a pH of a 6, so it's active, which you need to use our Hush Hydrate afterwards, but it's not going to cause the peeling and downtime. And something with that type of melasma, you're going to want to take it a little bit more slow. So looking for natural brighteners. Our saffron is a natural brightener. We have Saffron Mary Stem Cream if they can use some of the heavier moisturizers.
Okay,
Did you have another one?
Stay away from hydroquinone. We've did that one. Question about availability in Canada.
I am trying to find a distributor in Canada. The trick is got to find somebody that is going to want to just add the line in as a distributor. If somebody knows somebody, let me know. We would have to go put all of our products in French and English because they are requiring that now. So that's why before I try to sending up there, I need to find a distributor so I know that I have the output once we do something like that.
Ready to go. Makes complete sense. All right, so we have that one, and then one more, and we should be caught up.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
As a sugarist, what products are best for my clients' face and body and home care?
Oh, okay. We do have Shannon O'Brien that works with Barry and Jenny at Lipgloss and Aftershave. She actually came to me about 1.5 years ago in our Hush Hydrate gel. We actually put it in a nice 6.5 ounce pump for clients, so it's easier when you have your gloves and everything on to get to it. That and our bio powder. And I can send you a full protocol that we came up for sugaring that she helped us come up with. I'm happy to send that out to you if you email me. But yeah, primarily the Hush Hydrate gel and the bio powder. You can use them separately on your sugaring client, or you can use them together.
And Chris, what else can you mix? I know the bio powder. Can you mix that with other products?
You can mix the bio powder with any of our moisturizers, any of our serums.
Okay.
And the Hush Hydrate mask in the treatment room.
Perfect.
I've even got some people now testing adding it into the enzyme when they're applying the enzyme. So we're doing some testing with that as well. So
we are kind of getting into like company-based questions. People wanting to know a little bit more about the company. So I think we should save a few minutes at the end for that, and I'll bring those back up. Another product question, products to mix with microneedling.
Microneedling, that obviously we have a lot of clients that use our Rare Seed and our Soothe Essence, which is our hyaluronic calming serum. Even after microneedling, sometimes the Hush Hydrate calming, we do have protocols like using with different types of nano pens available as well. So it really depends on what you're doing prior to the microneedling, but we do have a lot of barrier function products that are going to help heal the skin afterwards. What a lot of people do is when they do some of the more aggressive treatments, they go back to using their wash with AHAs, BHAs in it, or enzymes, and that can be irritating. So what's nice about our stuff is it's a nice healing addition in between those more aggressive treatments, rebuilding that barrier function back up and calming it before you do the next series of treatments.
Okay. If you want to go through a few more of your slides, because again, I'm getting into company-based and ordering questions, we can save those.
Okay. We'll go through this kind of quickly, and I'll So we talked a little bit about fragrance. A lot of times people have issues with fragrance. We don't add any fragrance to our products except for two, and the two that we do add fragrance to are natural fragrance, and those are Yang Lang Sweet Orange and Lavender, which is our enzymes and our hydration mist, Mist Me. What happens is a lot of different times that people are allergic to, say, lavender, and they think that it's the vitamin C in the product that's bothering them, but maybe there's lavender in the fragrance and it doesn't list it because what they list is parfum. So a lot of people don't know that it's actually the parfum that's causing the problem and not what the key ingredient is. So you'll still have a smell with every one of our products, but it doesn't, we're not masking that smell. So maybe our vitamin A retinaldehyde serum still smells kind of vitamin-y. So everything does have a smell to it. It's just that we're not adding anything extra except for those two other products that we have, but they are natural. I won't go through this. Kind of go through the health challenge skin. That's a trademark term that both Morag Curran of Oncology Training International and I use. Reactive skin conditions that can happen because of the medications or diseases that they have. Cancer is a big one. I'll quickly go through. We do have 10 products now that we're mindful for those with cancer. And this kind of goes in to a previous brand I had, but we've been using these products for probably about 10 years with different cancer patients and different cancer hospitals across the country. There's really no oncology approved type thing out there, but because we have been using them with different cancer hospitals and oncology estheticians and programs, we keep those up to date, and I can go over those with people. If you want to email me, I can tell you which products those are, but you still need to take into consideration that the person has allergies and that you're picking the appropriate moisturizers and things for those clients. But they have a lot of side effects as radiation, burns, redness, flaking. Chemo can affect the skin a lot of times with rashes. In fact, our Relief Bio Powder was actually created by Morag Curran, helped me with this when she had her previous line, because a lot of people got shingles and rashes while they were going through chemo treatment, and they needed something to calm that down. So that's where the bio powder started out, but now we use it with a lot of other issues. Surgery, scarring, diabetes is a big one. A lot of people have skin conditions due to that. Looking for bacterial, fungal infections, we have to be really careful with them, the different types of treatments that we use. They're much more prone to infection. Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS, is a big one. A lot of times dry, sensitive, fragile skin because of their nerve issues. Parkinson's, their skin because of the stress with that central nervous system disorder becomes very sensitive and medication. Scleroderma, I talked about what kind of skin conditions can happen with sensitive skin, and I talked about hardening and things like that. A lot of times scleroderma is a buildup under the skin. It almost feels like a callus under the skin. But what happens with these people, it gets very tight. They have neuropathy issues. Temperature is a big issue. Lupus is a new one. I mean, we're seeing a lot more of, I think, out there. And it's great for some of these celebrities to talk about it because it does affect the whole body. And sometimes the medications that they're on, in fact, one of my workers who's on leave right now, she just had to have a kidney transplant because the lupus that she had, the medication she was taking destroyed her kidneys. So you don't realize that some of these disorders, actually, the medications are actually causing problems as well. Celiacs, Crohn's disease, and a lot of the times issues with the skin. Eczema, I talked about earlier. Keratosis pilaris. I was going to talk quickly. I'll talk quickly about gloving. I hope we're all gloving now, and masking. I do recommend if they have sensitive skin or any type of health challenge that we're adding gloves into the mix. As far as sanitation and things like that. Some people will just use gloves during extractions, but I think it's really important that you're using on sensitive skin, you're using them all the time. I talked a little bit about temperature earlier. We don't use steam with our enzymes even, or bedazzle. We recommend if somebody really wants it, just shoot it up in the air so they kind of feel that hydration versus aiming it right on their skin when we're trying to reduce the inflammation and redness in their skin. Some other treatment room tips, looking at the types of linens that you're using, maybe microfiber towels, being more gentle during extractions, not using the really harsh abrasive scrubs, encouraging sunscreen for everybody. Using products that the weight of the product would be something. You don't want a heavy cream mask where you're having to tug at the skin all the time to keep pulling at it. You want to have lighter weight products. So if you do remove them, they're easier to remove. And a lot of times peels are a little harder on the skin for somebody who's sensitive. So you want to have something much more gentle, you know, more of a rejuvenating treatment or an enzyme on that type of skin.
To that point, Chris, someone had asked about, she has a client who regularly gets ingrown hairs in her middle brow. So which products or product would you recommend for this? And I feel like that sort of speaks to the exfoliation side.
Well, I would also think the Clear Future toner is great. I have a lot of clients that use the Clear Future toner. It's a little less than a 2% salicylic, so it falls under the FDA guidelines of going over 2% and becoming an FDA product. So it's really gentle. So I have a lot of people use that with folliculitis and different things. And then obviously the enzymes would be a great product along with that because the enzymes really help with extractions. People get really good results with the enzymes with that. Couple things on Hale and Hush. I mean, we do have treatment protocols. We are bringing out protocols with Light Stim. I have protocols now with ThermoClear. I'm working with 70 Wellness with their stuff to regenerate. So a lot of different protocols we're bringing how to use our stuff on normal skin as well as somebody who's sensitive. Besides our in-person trainings that we typically do, we will offer like an hour free training with myself or my director of sales if you really want to delve into a little bit more one-on-one and what your clientele is like. We have a Facebook group. I think we've got about 3,500 people in there called Hale and Hush Pros. Great way to learn more about the line. We never have a minimum. We do drop shipping, so that's great right now as well too. A lot of rescue products. We do have marketing collateral. If you want to, we have gluten-free stickers. If you want to put that on there for your gluten-free, if you want to market that, we do have trifold flyers. We match those samples. So if you order 3 washes and 3 eye moves, you're going to get 3 wash samples and 3 eye moves for free. So we're really big on sampling, giving those out to clients. And really we're complementary to the other lines out there because we can work with SkinScript, we can work with Cicadia, we can work with all these different lines, and we're really not in competition with them because you might be able to use their line on 90, 95% of your clients, and you've got this small group, maybe a temporary sensitivity or something where something doesn't work in there, and we work really well with that. I had a lot of those people refer back to me, and so while a lot of the bigger lines are against each other and competing, a lot of them will refer back to us because we're just filling in that little niche to help out with the products.
And Chris, that speaks so much to really the philosophy of your company. So someone was hoping you could kind of go into that. What makes you different? Are you spa exclusive? What's your philosophy? So maybe just a brief company overview and elaborate on that a little bit more.
So brief company overview. I have a merchandising background and I have a supply chain background, which is manufacturing and logistics and purchasing. And I decided I was going to open a supply store of some type out here. I was changing my life 20 years ago. And some friends said, you should open a supply store like Hair Supply or something like that, because they do that in another state. And when I looked around, I noticed, well, those are all taken, but where does spas in Arizona buy products? So I decided I better learn about aesthetics. And that's why I haven't touched anybody since state board, because that really wasn't my thing. And I went to school. And by the time I got out of school, the market wasn't a good time to open a new storefront type business. So I ended up going to work for Covalence, which is still my lab. They're an FDA lab here in Chandler, Arizona. And I worked for them as director of sales and worked overseas, worked with clients, getting their products put together. R&D would work alongside it. I was kind of the go-between in between people and helped to get their products overseas. And then eventually Mariah Curran from Oncology Training International, she worked with me as well. And she wrote a book on oncology aesthetics and left the company and started a line called Techniche, but she got too busy training. So I bought that line from her about 5 years ago this July. Or actually it was a little bit longer than that. We rebranded 5 years ago in July because we had Techniche for a while and everybody thought we were just for cancer clients. So Hale and Hush has been around about 5 years, but I think it's really important. You're seeing a lot more people that are sensitive. People say that, like 40% of the people say that, what do you think about your skin type? They're saying they're sensitive or they're reactive. It used to be, 20 years ago, well, I'm oily, I'm combo, I'm dry, but, more people are saying they're sensitive, and that has to do with all those challenges we talked about today, is really determining they could have almost every one of those challenges going on, and you have to treat them a little bit differently because they still want the anti-aging buzzwords, but they might not be able to use something at a heavier cosmeceutical level during the time. They don't want something that's dumbed down, filled with dimethicone. So we just really focus on just being complementary to the other lines, because I don't want to go out and compete against those other lines. They have great products for the cosmeceuticals, but we fill a really nice niche in there to help out, because everybody on the street could be using our products right alongside their main brands.
Mm-hmm. Oh, fabulous overview, Chris. 2 product specific questions that I had come in. Are your products safe for the bikini area?
Yes, we are working with some people to come up with some vajacial protocols. That is in the works, because I've been asked about that. But I do have people that have, tested a lot of those, even like the Clear Future toner in that area.
Okay.
And definitely the wash is really nice, because it's really just purifying the skin. It's not something that's so aggressive. We're just trying to clean the skin and purify it versus stripping it down.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And would you recommend a mineral-based sunscreen as opposed to chemical?
I do recommend a broad spectrum. That's actually what we have. We use a 13.5% micronized zinc. But I do, a lot of times the chemical on somebody who's sensitive is going to be irritating and cause more inflammation for them. So using something that's more of a natural or a broad spectrum, I think, is a much better choice for somebody with sensitive skin. Obviously, a lot of times that's hard to waterproof when it's not chemical. So it's kind of a fine balance there. It's like even with makeup, I do recommend using a mineral makeup a lot of times for sensitive skin, because it doesn't have all the other harsh ingredients in it. A lot of times those regular over-the-counter makeups are full of ingredients that are causing their issues with your client's skin, not necessarily the skincare they're using. It could be the makeup they're using.
And my last question, and I'll give you a little time check. It's it's 52. We've got a few more minutes. Someone is asking about the bundle that is available.
Okay, the bundle that is available. Can they be a little bit more specific? Because we have lots of bundles.
Lots of bundles, Shauna. So if you can type another quick question in, we will hopefully get.
So what we do is we don't have a lot of back bar. We're not somebody's main line typically. Now I do know a few people that use us exclusively, but mostly we're somebody's second, third, or fourth line. So we don't do big back, back bar sizes. So what we do is we bundle things, and our bundles are always 20% off. So you're always saving 20%. I have people that buy our starter kit all the time, and they'll pull out the retail pieces, throw in the Hush Hydrate into their back bar. We bundle our bio powder and Hush Hydrate in 3 different forms. We do it with our back bar 8-ounce size with the bio powder for 20% off. We do it in the retail size, and we also do it in the size that people use for hair removal. Or if you use the enzymes in the Hush Hydrate a lot, because those are used together, we bundle those together, so you're always saving 20%. So the bundles are the way to help build up your back bar. We also do 10% off a couple things every month. Right now we are doing free shipping at $100. We typically do it at $300. And I know some of the brands out there are doing free shipping overall, but we are a small company, and we are drop shipping and things like that. So if you're drop shipping an order that's less than $100, we're throwing in a free Let the Healing Begin, which is one of our taglines, mirror into those drop ships for your client. We're also throwing in an extra sample of something else you'd like for them to try.
Perfect. And what is in the starter kit?
So the starter pro kit is a 6.2-ounce wash. It has the Soothe Essence serum. It has the eye mousse. It has the Hush Hydrate mask in the 8-ounce. It has the Relief Bio Powder, the Mist Me, our hydration mist, which will also set mineral makeup. It has the Saffron Mary Stem Cream, which is our heaviest moisturizer, the Vital Lipid Lotion, which is our mid-weight moisturizer, the SPF, and then it also has our Soothe Essence serum, which is our hyaluronic calming serum. So bundled together, it's $166. So that's actually, you're saving 20% if you purchase those things separately. And then we also have a little bit bigger kit, which has one of everything, which includes our enzymes and our Bedazzle and those type of things. And that is called the Try It All kit.
Perfect. So we will be emailing all of the details because people are asking about the deal for being on this webinar today. So not only are we emailing the link to the replay, but you'll be getting...
If they're on the webinar today, we're going to do if they do the starter kit, which is a great way to start because it's just the core products, and those are all products that are mindful for those with oncology as well, is we're going to do that for, instead of $166, we're going to do that for $155.
Perfect.
So
Okay.
we'll have an additional savings on that.
So all of these details will be emailed to everybody because I know a few questions just came in and we're going to have to sign off here in just a minute.
Yep.
But let me see, because it was all about the kit. So you'll get all of the details in the email after this.
Okay.
And Chris, I can't thank you enough. Barry, welcome back. We
I've been
cannot
here
thank
the
you
whole
enough for
time just
taking.
lurking.
Yeah, he's back there napping in the back, I think.
Can't thank you enough for joining us today and
Thank you,
sharing
guys.
your knowledge. I mean, you had a massive audience, and I know this is a huge, huge topic, and people love learning about your line and how to incorporate it into their existing
They're
protocols.
more than
So
welcome to reach out and ask questions, and we can elaborate more on different things and products.
perfect.
Awesome,
Barry?
you guys. Thank you so much, everybody who came into the session. Thank you for attending. Chris, I can't thank you enough for coming on and for doing the raffle and for offering all the people who are viewing a special. We really, truly appreciate it. So we're going to close out this session and be back at 3 o'clock with our next session. And Jenny, it just is, I had it in my head who it was, and it left.
It's hydropeptide.
Hydropeptide. It was just gone.
Everything's running into everything, so.
It's happening. I thought it was Monday. So Chris, you had tons of praise in the chat box. Everybody was so thankful, so excited to see you, and loved this session. So lots of claps, lots
thanks
of
to
thank
everybody
you.
today. Thanks, Barry and Jenny. We appreciate it.
We'll
Bye,
see you
guys.
soon, Chris.
Thank you.
Bye.